All right. Well, welcome in. Today we got Dr. Matt Ortega with Kinetic Center. One of the first places actually that I came in when we first started.
Yeah.
And a pretty good friendship and relationship because they do a ton of cool stuff. So, Dr. Matt, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit and you can kind of tell us what you guys do and a little bit about the facility.
Awesome. What's up, guys? I'm Dr. Matt Ortega. I'm here at Kinetic Center Frisco. So Jimbo's absolutely correct. We met, I'd probably say about, a year and a half ago, maybe even more. So somewhere around there. But what we do, guys, is I'm a chiropractor by trade, but what we do is a little outside of the traditional chiropractic box. We call ourselves functional movement doctors. We utilize a really neat 3D screening system called Kineticence that we'll talk about here in a little bit. And it's a great tool that we use to be able to help get our athletes back functioning and feeling good. It's really neat. So we'll kind of get into it a little bit, but that's a little bit about kind of just me and what we do here at Kinetic Center.
Yep. And if, we'll get into a little bit more, but the 3D motion capture stuff that you guys do is awesome.
I didn't want to spoil too much.
You're good. Something that I haven't seen pretty much anywhere until I got here. It's pretty holistic approach and gives you real numbers, to put together with what you're doing. So
absolutely. Tell
us a little bit about how you got into sports rehab, kind of what you're doing now. Give us your journey.
That's a great question, Jimbo. One athlete all my entire life. So played pretty much any sport under the sun, from football, baseball, basketball, track, soccer, everything probably except tennis and swimming. That's probably those are the only ones that I didn't. But so kind of getting into there, I knew I always wanted to help people in some capacity. One thing that really pushed me into what I do now was actually my high school baseball coach was my anatomy teacher. Mm-hmm. So really had to pay attention in class, and I couldn't really cut up there, or I'd be running foul poles in practice. It really kind of gravitated towards me. I really kind of found out how I wanted to pursue my career. I kind of was thrusted into it a little bit differently. I broke my back playing baseball. I know we've talked about it before. So I was a center fielder, guys. I was running head first for a ball to right center, dove head first over the warning track, head first into the fence, scorpion, fractured 2 vertebrae. I was bedridden for like 3 months, PT for 3 months, and easy to say ended my career. So it gave me the passion to go to the rehab side to not either play or coach or try to instruct anymore, but get athletes to keep them on the field to function the way that they want to. So that's a big passion of mine.
Yeah, and that's something we bonded over is back injuries right off the bat. So word of advice, don't dive into fences. That's probably the first thing we can hit on.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we come from baseball. Give us some of the most common injuries you see, baseball, softball, throwing, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. So those are some super common ones that we see and treat here in office. Of course, you're going to get the traditional, baseball or little leaguer's elbow, rotator cuff, different things like that. But one that I probably see the most out of anything, Jimbo, is low back injuries, especially for kids. It's funny, yes, chiropractor, we treat a lot of different stuff, but the low back injury is a plague across not just baseball and softball, but among sports in general.
And I think from what I see and what I do, I think it's gotten worse over time.
I would agree, man. Yeah, it definitely does get worse and worse over time. Athletes are very functional. They're very adaptive to what they do. But outside of that, they're very sedentary and they sit there and they don't move. They don't throw any extra work into it. And it's going to show either in their play or, off the field whenever they can't, get out of bed the next morning.
Right. And it seems like more and more I see athletes that come into us that have, low back pain, back spasm, all these different things. And the only thing I can think of is kind of what you said, like we sit around all day in class, in front of the TV, in front of Fortnite, video games, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And then we go try to run or do some kind of aggressive movement, and then all of a sudden we're not feeling good.
Yeah, no, and not to be a hypocrite, I'm guilty of it as well, right? Certain things that I go to do, I'm like, man, I did not warm up well. I do my old man softball league, so I know whenever I show and go, it's the worst recipe for my back.
Yeah, it's So give us a little bit about. We just talked about the mechanism for low back injuries. You see any other, commonalities, mechanisms of different injuries that? you got guys coming in to see you
Oh
for?
man, yeah. You'll see a lot of like commonalities that kind of work. Same thing, kind of going into like the low back issue, mostly kind of coming from the stabilization from the hips. We start seeing early knee injuries, ankle injuries, rotational issues that they can't do because either A, they can't mobilize their hips, and so it's got to come from somewhere else. So then it starts coming in at the thoracic spine or wherever it may be, that people start to see these. So those commonalities kind of work together because I think kind of coming from treatment that you received here, the body's that full kinetic chain, right? We're looking at the full unit working together, not just low back or not just knee or not just hip. Everything communicates to one another.
Yeah, and kind of going along with that too, you even gave me something I never thought about, but you were like, well, how do you sit in your truck?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. And I kind of thought about it. I was like, well, yeah, I do tend to sit this way, and I have low back stiffness toward the left side, and maybe that's a little bit of, maybe not the cause of it, but it probably doesn't help.
It's a contributor to it, and that's what we try to look at in office too. It's not just, okay, well, what sport do you play? What activity do you do along those lines? It's how do you sleep? What are your common habits? If I sit in a chair and I play video games all day and I'm here, well, no wonder why my low back is tight, right? Yeah. So, it's also those, we just call them ADLs, activity of daily living, and those play big factors into everything from our play to just our health.
Which is funny too, because you think, sitting all day, you think of, the office secretary or someone in a desk job, but it's more prevalent, I think, even among athletes, because you can't just stay sitting all day. You have to go perform after.
Yeah, you go from sedentariness. Unfortunately, student athletes, you're going to be in school, 6 hours, majority of the time you're going to be sitting. So you go from there, get out of school, go hop in the car, go home, grab your stuff, back in the car, go to practice.
Yeah.
And let's hit it full force, right? Yeah. So you go from sitting 6 to 8 hours a day to now let's go all out for 2 hours and see what goes on. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, going on that, you have any tips to, because you're stuck at school. What am I going to do if I'm stuck at school?
No, and that's where we try to kind of make our treatments a little bit adaptive, right? So, one of the easiest things that we can do, some people get controversial with it, when you should and when you shouldn't, different things like that, is just but basic stretching. Stretching is always going to be beneficial. They can do it while they're sitting in class, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes they may look at you like you're doing something crazy or whatnot while you're stretching out the back or the hamstrings or something kind of like that, but it definitely helps just keeping the body moving, right? And, if you are able in class or anything in that nature, just get up, walk around. I know it's hard to get the restroom hall pass to get out, but don't get going out there and cutting up, but getting up and moving, go to the restroom, get water, different things kind of like that is absolutely key, because unfortunately you got to sit, right? Yeah. But some schools have actually been doing a pretty good job of doing stand desks.
Yeah,
I kind of saw that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I wonder if they got it around here. Probably not.
Not yet, right? Yeah.
That's actually funny, because when I first got hurt in college, started throwing my back out. I would get made fun of. It was at Merced College. I'd get made fun of because I would walk in the middle of class. I told the teacher beforehand, but I would walk to the back of the class, stand up, and move around a little bit, because otherwise, sitting in that desk all day, my back was already aggravated, and sitting all day just made it worse and worse. And I'd have to go practice after, and it's, I was like, well, either I look stupid and go stand up in class and put the little bit of work in that I need, or I'm going to be hurt the whole season. I'm not going to be able to play.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's a tough one, man. It's a fine balance between the two, right? Because you are super active, so you do need the recovery, but sometimes too much recovery. It's about that balance, right? Because if we overstress and under recover, you're going to have some bad recipes. But at the same time, too, you have a heavy population in the United States that's over-recovered, under-stressed, and that's another bad recipe for it. So it's kind of finding that balance between the two.
Yep. You can do all the training you want, but if you can't step foot on the field, you're doing no good to anybody. So.
Absolutely. 110%, man.
Okay. Give us a little bit about, I want to emphasize kind of what you guys do here.
Yeah.
How do you guys, from A to Z, I come into the office, check me out, here's what's wrong, what's my program look like after that, and kind of how do you guys do that?
Great question. It's very individualized, so that's kind of the first things first. So from the get-go, intake forms, you do it all online, so it's not old school, sit on the paper or anything kind of like that. So we already have that information before you even come in. That's really cool about it. But when we come in, what we focus on, we go over an extensive history. What is going on? What's caused your injuries? How did these happen? Has it happened before? Is this the first time it's happened? And then we also get into orthopedic examinations. That's one of our biggest things, to be able to understand, is it a ligament, is it a tendon, is it a muscle strain, is it just a spasm, or are you good, right? Is there nothing going on? It's just something lingering. But So we go into that extensive history. We were talking about our software system that we use, KinetiSense. We run every single one of our athletes through it. It's a really neat system that identifies mobility and stability issues going on in the body. So we can really individualize, like I said, the care for that athlete. It's not just low back pain. So here's a pamphlet, go do this. You have a traditional rotator cuff injury, this and that. So we really try to dive into it, and we want to always make sure that the athlete knows what's best for their body. I always use the analogy of that our body's in a Rubik's Cube, right? And unfortunately, everybody's got their own pattern. How do you unwind it? And that's what we try to kind of find is how do we unwind your body specifically? Just because we both played baseball doesn't mean we should do the exact same warm-ups, exact same everything. It's great to go do lines with your team and different things like that. But if you have an ankle injury and I got a shoulder injury, but we're doing the same warm-ups in the lines, it's not very catered to your body specifically. So we try to make sure that we know what athletes do before they work out, before they go train, before they play, after, maybe even during the game or anything in that nature as well.
And I've even seen it taken a step further too. Like we both have lower back injury, right? But we don't have the same mechanism for the injury. So my everyday routine looks a lot different than his. Yeah. That's one of the things I noticed when I came in here. I thought, because chiropractors get a bad rap, and you guys do stuff a whole lot different, which is fantastic. Yeah. It's find the mechanism and how to treat it, rather than just like he just said, here's a pamphlet on low back pain, go do these exercises and good luck.
Yeah, it's all about trying to kind of find that root cause. That's probably the biggest thing that we say. Just because you're feeling the pain at one specific site, we commonly see that that's not the main issue. That's not the root cause. It's a symptom of where you're kind of feeling it. Yeah. So yes, treat symptom, get that gone, but to ensure it's gone so we don't have a re-injury or re-aggravation of it, let's really make sure we address that root cause.
And I mean, going back to the KinetiSense that you guys use, I guarantee if you checked out anybody, you could have a pretty good idea of what's going on, why it's happening, all that stuff. But now if you put it on that motion capture camera and you can show the numbers and you can say, Absolutely. Hey, mom and dad, here's what's wrong. I'm not saying it.
Especially in the baseball realm, like we are all numbers driven, right? What's your batting average? What is your slugging percentage? What is your exit velo? There's all these numbers now that are in the game now. Whenever you and I were around, it was just hit the ball hard and run hard.
Do well, yeah.
So the software system's really cool because it brings that graphical data to the body. We can see where we're having those issues at. And you're absolutely right. We do it enough that just from a quick view, I can see generally what's going on, but that's very subjective. Yeah. And what the software system that we use it's very objective, right? So it's not going to really miss these things. It's going to be hard fact data, something that we can test over and over again to not only just see, is the athlete doing better? We always base our functionality we always base our performance off of pain, but really we need to kind of focus on functionality, because if that functionality is not there, the pain's going to come right back.
That's exactly right. So you guys use KinetiSense, and that's obviously pretty cool technology, but you have any other new technologies or, stuff that you're seeing, up and coming stuff that you like and are implementing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think just everything is kind of really pushing technology based now. It's so crazy how you think healthcare is so based off of technology in that sense through there. But yeah, there's some different therapies and different types of treatment styles that we kind of take that approach towards. What we do already in office is kind of a little bit outside of the traditional box. Because like I said, what we look at is the fascial planes, the fascial lines throughout the entire body. Like I said, rather than just looking at individual body parts, specific systems, different things in that nature. So I think that could be a big one that kind of raises some awareness to how the body functions. It's a different type of way in looking at it, but like I said, utilizing the technology, adding different types of service, just kind of thinking outside of the traditional normal box, I would say, Jimbo, is probably a big one there.
Yeah, and you guys already obviously do something, that's a little bit outside of the box. I just, figured that was a good question because you guys are so different from everything else that's kind of out there already that, you guys are already on the forefront of what people are going to be doing is looking at real numbers and then treating them based off the numbers. So
absolutely. Like I said, even in the baseball realm, right? Rapsodo, different things in that nature, everything is pushing more towards the tech side of it. And I think it's going to be a big contributing factor to move into the future of not only performance, not only recovery, but just across the board.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of to switch gears a little bit. So you got an athlete come in, treating an injury. How do you balance kind of that, get him returned to play and don't overwork him so we don't re-injure him that way?
Yeah, it's a very, very fine line. I think one of the biggest part is educating the athlete.
Yeah.
Educating the athlete of understanding when the body's ready to go and when it's not.
Yeah.
Because, as I said just a moment ago, we base how we're doing off of pain. Mm-hmm. So as soon as the pain is gone, we try to hit back at it 100%. There's never any progression.
Yep.
There's also else at the same time, not that sense of let me listen to my body. It's just go. And so really educating that athlete of, hey, your body's feeling better, but maybe the functionality hasn't changed quite yet. And that's where we use our system to see, okay, hey, now you're ready to go back to full strength. So that's where those numbers play a big factor into it as well, rather than just feeling, okay, well, it was an 8 out of 10, now it's a 2 out of 10, so now I can kind of go, right? That's manageable. So kind of educating that athlete, letting them know and understanding where the body is, and then working our way back into things, right? Crawl before we walk before we run. So that's on your realm of the strength training aspect of it as well. And that's where I kind of see it at the same time too. And we'll probably get into this in a bit, but once I get them healthy, okay, you need to strengthen that body too. I'm a little limited on my resources, but that's where we partner up with guys such as Jimbo and different people to be able to make sure that they keep that strength and progressing, so it doesn't kind of come back to haunt them later on down the road.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you talked about progression. I think that's kind of the key term right there. I'm just thinking, back to when I got hurt, and the low back stuff, when you're not able to move for 3 or 4 days at once. Absolutely. Until that muscle's calmed down, can be a little scary when you're going back onto the field. You're not sure, if I make a certain movement, is it going to be, am I going to be done for a week? So I think that's another point that you touched on. Like, you can put the numbers on the screen with the kinetisense and say, hey, here's where you were, here's where you are now. So now, not just in my mind of, I'm scared. Now I can see, okay, well, my body is getting better. Yeah. So maybe that fear is a little bit alleviated.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it gives them that sense of mind, that calmness, because they know that their body's doing better. Sometimes we don't feel like it's progressing, but it truly is. Those small little stepping stones make those big leaps and bounds whenever we actually look at it. But when you're in the heat of the moment, it feels like the body's never getting better. Okay, well, hey, I'm just going to push through it because the season's kind of coming to an end. Whatever it may be, we get put in those situations. But I think, strength training, the rehabilitation, everything has grown so much in the right way to bring all this information to athletes, and it's not so primitive on the way that we have to always approach the way that we take care of our body or the way that we strength train, right?
Yeah.
We can train outside the box. We can recover outside of the traditional box, right? And I see big success with that. Yeah,
and it makes sense too. I remember, being on the athletic training table in college, and the trainer's like, hey, you're better. And I'm like, well, I'm either unsure that I'm better, or I don't trust you enough that I want to jump back on the field right now. So being able to see it firsthand, I can trust Dr. Matt all I want, but if he shows me, okay, well, you were here, now you're here, I'm a lot more, I guess, receptive to that information. Absolutely. And now it's not as intimidating to jump back on the field or jump into that next phase of the progression.
Yep, gets people back going a lot quicker. But you're telling me ice, stretch, and run doesn't fix everything?
No.
That's what my coach always used to tell me.
Ibuprofen too.
Oh, yeah,
you forgot that
one. That's right. Keep a big bottle of that stuff.
Yep. Shoot. Okay. Well, next one. Just get this question because, I feel like the more athletes that I am coming in contact with, the more I'm seeing the low back injuries, rotator cuff, all the things you kind of mentioned. Do you have any suggestions to just the everyday athlete, whether it be baseball, softball, whatever, on injury prevention strategies, maybe something they can do every day, or what does that method look like?
I think it's being, like we always tell our athletes, be proactive, not reactive, right? Making sure that you understand what's going on with your body. Just because it's not in pain doesn't mean something's dysfunctioning. There is asymptomatic dysfunctions that go on throughout the body that could just be sitting in there dormant until that one swing, that one ground ball that you feel, that one throw that you go, and then you feel it. So, utilizing the systems that we do, because people think chiropractic, well, I got to be hurt, I got to hurt my back just alone to come see it, or even along neuroscience. I know you use the software system as well that able to identify those things to see what's going on with the body, because we have to identify where these hindrances are, where our weaknesses are. So if we know where to roll, if we know where to strengthen, if we know what to warm up before a game, the injury rates definitely go down. But if you don't have a nail in the tire, right, or if you have a nail and tire and you don't know it's there, you'll never go get it patched.
That's exactly right.
But if you bring attention to it, well, let's go get it fixed, right? So that's where we want to really kind of make sure that we can do it.
And like first time I came to see you guys, he got me in front of the camera on the table, checked me out, all that stuff. I wasn't actively having a spasm on my back, but we come to find out just based off your evaluation, okay, well, these things look like they could be precursors to you getting hurt again.
Absolutely.
So maybe we fix them now. So rather than you come back in when your back's hurt, we just keep it from getting hurt. So
I'd rather take 3 to 4 weeks of maybe, deload my training or whatnot to make sure that I ensure the rest of the season goes well, rather than, okay, well, I went as hard as I could. Now I have 6 to 8 weeks off of a full recovery, and now I lost half the season, right?
Yep.
So.
And I always, come back from that Exos methodology of, we want to be strong, but we also want to move well. That's the whole goal, because you can't just work yourself into the ground and be hurt. I'm also a big advocate of, be strong as hell and move well. But at the same time, we can't just overtrain to where you can't play. That just defeats the purpose of our whole training.
I love that methodology that you were talking about. One that I watched a while back. I was a quarterback in high school, so I've thrown an athlete my entire life. So this shoulder's, had some miles on it. But I watched that Tom Brady, that the man in the arena. Did you ever watch that?
Oh yeah.
And whenever he was talking about his trainer that brought in all this controversy to the NFL, to the Patriots organization and whatnot, and it was a big one. But they were talking about Brady was talking about trying to be having plasticity, right? And if we think of that, what does that kind of make up, right? Well, something that is has plasticity, it's strong, but yet flexible, yet moldable, right? So you have the thought of something so rigid that it has no give, so it's going to snap and break. You have something that's so flexible, something so weak that it's going to tear, right? So you got to find that kind of balance in between the two. And I think what you do in the training realm and what we do on the recovery side, those work so well hand in hand together, because we work together as a team rather than, well, I got to get you strong, I got to get you mobile. No, we can work together and make sure that those athletes get that plasticity that they need, rather than just focusing on one side or the other.
Yep. And that kind of leads into the next question too, is how important is it to have, kind of all those pieces to the puzzle? Because going back to the Exos model, in-house, they have the strength coaches, they have the physical therapist, they have the dietitian, they have a masseuse. Everybody's in that one spot. So for the athlete that doesn't have, just boatloads of cash that can afford to go into every place like that, how important is it to have those different resources rather than just, one or the other?
It's absolutely huge, man. In the years that I've been doing this, right, this is starting year 6 of me in what I do. And every year it reassures me more and more. It's about building a team, right? It's not trying to be the jack of all trades of those and master of none, like they say. Because yes, I used to personal train when I was in college, but I don't think in that methodology anymore. I'm not trying to write programs and training for athletes. I'm thinking of how can I get their body to function better while they train, right? So you have to find those team around you. So I always look at it as, okay, you have your hitting coach, you have your pitching coach, you have your fielding coach, whatever you're looking for, you have that side of it, right? You have your strength coach, you have your nutritionist, you have your mental health coach, right? Maybe that's a big part into it, right? How much of a mental game is baseball and every other sport, really, to tell you the truth. But that's one capacity of it as well. Like, I can't help you with those things, but I know somebody that can. So, hey, go see this person. I trust them. I reassure them that they will take care of you and get you what you need. Yep.
And I'm the same way, but you touched on, you used personal train in college.
Yeah.
That's a big piece, though, because he understands, okay, this is what's probably going on with your training right now. And he already has a good background on that. Same thing on the baseball side. So going along with that, if someone has something bugging them, rather than me take the time to spend with them trying to correct whatever it is, it's easy for me to make a phone call to Dr. Matt or anybody pretty much in the building and say, hey, I have an athlete with this. Here's what's bugging him, because I don't really want to deal with it. He's an expert on it, and he can fix you obviously a lot better and a lot quicker than I could. So
absolutely,
just having all those coaches in your corner to make sure that you are strong, move well, and you feel good all the time is I think huge.
When you build a team, the athlete gets everything that they need, right? Not that missing part of, okay, well, that's my weakness, so I'm going to try to touch on it, but that's where they're lacking. No, send it to the expert, right? So you're an expert in your realm. That's what I try to consider myself in my realm as well. And building that team out to make sure that we get that, to build the best athlete.
Yep.
That's the best part.
I love it. Maybe you got any success stories of, I mean, you don't have to, no HIPAA violations here, but you have any cool nameless success stories that you want to?
Yeah, man, there's plenty of them. I got quite a few of them. So probably one of them, one of my kids actually sent over. He's been with us for some time. Was having some elbow issues. He is a multi-sport athlete, so plays golf, basketball, baseball, lots of different sports and different things like that. So he was coming in for some low back pain and elbow pain, kind of traditional stuff, but wasn't even in season. It was more so along the lines of it was bothering him while he was playing basketball, so it kind of went across the board. But we got him back functioning well with his jumper. And it translated to the pitching, right? So it was kind of cool to kind of be able to see. And it was just simple stuff. He's never been educated on how the body works, the way it functions, or what do I need to do specifically for me, right? Another one, being a washed up baseball player, guys, I gravitate towards golf now, right? So I work with a lot of golfers as well. And I had a youth kiddo coming in, severe low back pain, like couldn't even finish 9 holes, and pretty elite level golfer. Well, we ended up start looking at, it was the swing mechanics. It was nothing with the actual body itself. The body was in good shape, but the mechanics of the body, the sequencing of the timing of the swing and different things like that were thrown off, that were overloading certain parts of the spine. And that's what was causing the pain, because outside of golf, it was gone. It didn't bother whenever I sleep, whenever I sit, nothing else, but it was after the rounds. So it wasn't even on the realm of treating on the table. It was more so along the lines of treating the mechanics of the body to get it to work together instead of against itself, and cleared it up. So don't even have to put your hands on people sometimes too to fix them.
And that's kind of just the intricacies of the kinetic chain. You could have pain hurting, you're feeling pain somewhere, but it could be a mechanism that's way before that part of the kinetic chain. So it's nice to have technology, an expert, someone looking at you to be able to identify those pieces, because if you feel like, okay, my elbow hurts, a lot of the time you just think your elbow hurts, so let me fix my elbow. And
what happened with exactly what I was going to kind of say with that young man that I was talking about, the basketball player and different things in that nature, had nothing to do with his elbow. It was actually his shoulder. So treat the side of pain, yes, but then I showed him how to just stabilize his shoulder. Elbow pain's gone now. Now he's back to pitching. Now he's back to throwing. He's hitting and everything that he wants. So
and I think that goes like you hear about guys that have Tommy John, and they come back and they're throwing 2, 3, 4 miles an hour harder than they were. A lot of the time it's not just because they have a stronger ligaments, because all of those exercises and the training and the physical therapy that they're doing after that surgery, everything is moving well, stronger, and guess what? We throw harder. So
absolutely. And that's what we kind of try to tell people, is that if you take care of your body, sometimes one of the side effects is going to be improved performance, right? So the body is plastic, like I said. You're having mobility, you're having strength, you're having all those characteristics that you need for the body to function. Well, if the body's functioning better, you're going to perform better too.
Absolutely. So kind of, getting ready to wrap up, but any new advancements, kind of innovation stuff, or trends that you're seeing just in sports rehab in general? Are you, do you have a kind of an idea of what a go-to model is going to look like as we kind of go forward?
I don't know, man. Hopefully, I'm not trying to be biased just because what we do, but I hope it's something along the lines of what we try to kind of bring here, because I don't try to just say it's just the muscle, it's just the bone, it's just the rehab. It's a combination of all those. And like we said earlier, like working with the teams and those in general, because the stuff that I show them, they're going to be dealing with you too, right? Their warm-ups, they're different things that they're going to throw in there as well. That's what's going to bring success. So utilizing our teams, utilizing the technology that we have, and looking at the body outside of the just localized spots. Look at it, a global trend, right? Elbow pain coming from the shoulder, knee pain coming from the hips. And it's not always those specific cadences, guys, because they go outside of those. But, looking at the body as the full kinematic chain, right? Not just looking at it just from a one joint standpoint, because if you do, you're going to have injuries come back, and that is the worst thing for an athlete, right?
That's why we don't train with just, a singular joint movement. We train full body, because that's what athletics is. It's not just
training a dynamic motion, because you play in a dynamic motion, right? So
funny how that works.
Absolutely, right? So the one that we heard the other day was the way your body fires together, your body wires together. So
I like that.
Your body's going to wire one way, one there. So if you use the full thing, it's going to really, really start efficient.
Yep.
So
Cool. Well, I think that's probably about it. Shameless plug. How do we find you guys? How do we get in?
Appreciate it, guys. So our office is Kinetic Center Frisco, guys. We're located inside Fieldhouse USA. We have our own entrance over here on the side. You can follow us on our Instagram pages. Our office one is at Kinetic Center Frisco, and then mine is at 3D Swing Doc. That's 3D SWING DOC, guys. So follow us on there. Jimbo's a great proponent of us. You may see us on there. We try to share each other's back and forth, but we give lots of good tips, lots of good education. Message us if you have any questions or concerns about how we can help you or what we do in office a little bit more in detail.
Yep. And you guys are in Texas.
Yes, Kinetic Center Frisco.
Are you guys going to be anywhere else soon?
Yeah, so hopefully, fingers crossed, if everything kind of keeps moving, we have some opportunities to be actually opening up in Colorado, Denver.
Nice.
So that one will be opening up pretty soon. And like I said, hopefully that model, what we have, will continue to grow. I think we have a great opportunity to be able to do that, and it's just getting our name out, the word out of what we do, and how we're kind of breaking outside of the traditional chiropractic box.
Absolutely. Love it.
So,
Cool. Dr. Matt, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimbo. Cool. Thanks, guys.